40 hours a week. That's how much time the average college athlete spends working on their designated sports without pay. According to the article, student athletes are workers, they should get paid. College coaches are some of the highest paid people within their state. This is unfair because many of these college athletes are putting in all of the work so that these people can get paid all kinds of money. First thing I'd like to talk about is how much money the NCAA gets from these athletes and how much time the athletes put in to their sport. Next, I'll discuss how all the athletes have no money and are living like every other college student, broke. Then, finally, I will talk about how much each college athlete should get paid and how it should be equal for everybody, no matter what sport or what gender they are. The first thing I'd like to talk about is that the NCAA is making billions off of these athletes. As stated in the article, paying college athletes top 3 pros and cons. The NCAA made over $1.06 billion off of just basketball athletes in March Madness in 2017. That means that these athletes are putting in all kinds of work and they're seeing no money from any of it. Now I know what you're thinking, well, all these college athletes are getting scholarships and that should be their pay. Well, all of that money has to go right back into their schooling. So on the weekends, whenever these college athletes do have a little bit of free time, they're unable to go and hang out with friends or even put gas into their vehicle. And all this money that these college athletes are making is going to all these NCAA higher-ups like the presidents and all of the administration. As I stated earlier, these college athletes are putting in 40 hours of work a week. That is enough for a full-time job. And they're getting nothing but scholarship money. According to the article, athlete scholarships, the average scholarship is only $10,400 per year. If you really think about it, that is not very much money for anybody to live off of, let alone a college student that is trying to just pay his bills. As I stated earlier, sports are a full-time job for most people, and it's very hard for them to find time to get other things like a job so that they can pay and have some extra free time. The next thing I'd like to talk about is how much money that the students have in their pockets. And to be honest, most of the students have no money, no time, so in the long run they just end up broke. And a lot of these students don't even get to go play at the next level, so they get out of college and have to go straight to a job because they don't have any free time in college to make any extra money. Next, I'd like to talk about what they would be spending this money on. Most of these athletes will be spending this money on things like food, so that they can go out on dates with their girlfriends or go hang out with friends, or even go to things like flying tea just to have a good time. And they'd also be spending this on things like gas. This is just to transport from even going to their sport or, like I said earlier, going out on a date. According to the article, the average cost of food per month for an average college student, most college students spend about $200 a month on going to eat extra food outside of the school cafeteria. The third and final thing I'd like to talk about is how much money each student should be getting. Most college students spend I would assume about $300 per month. This is for gas and or food. If you really think about it, this is not very much money. This would just give the kids something extra to do on the weekends if they're not working and or not doing schoolwork. All this money would go to them just being a kid, going to have fun, going to hang out with friends, buying food, or going to go bowling, or just trying to relax some. And I also believe that all of sports should be paid the same. It does not matter if you're the starting quarterback of the Clemson Tigers or if you are the scout quarterback for the Tulsa Hurricanes. You should be paid the same amount depending on what your college stage, because all of this money will have to depend on where you live, what what school you're going at and what state, because gas money is different in each state, as is food and everything else. It also should not matter if it is boys or girls sports, because as we know in the world right now, many women don't get paid as much as men do, and this is unfair because they all put in the same amount of work. As I stated earlier, all the schools are making all the money off these athletes, and the athletes are spending a lot of time. Secondly, I talked about how much money these students already have, and finally, I talked about how much they should get paid and that everybody should be paid equal. Hope that I've convinced everyone that you need to push so that athletes can get paid a little bit of extra money so they can spend time with each other in their free time. I hope I've persuaded you all that the athletes should get paid a little bit more.